Hello friends, welcome to Susan and John MathTube. It's me, Deepak George, and this is video number 3 in Study With Me series. And from today onwards, we will be working out questions related to mean, median, mode, coefficient of variation, and we'll try to cover or start with box plot. And remember, now and then they ask questions with 8 marks related to these things. Okay, so first of all, we learned the use and importance of probability in engineering. And in the last video, I showed you some very important theory questions that keep on coming from this part. And remember, these are all 3 mark questions and 5 mark questions. That means you're supposed to write valid points. You can screenshot these questions and later search online or in any statistics books that you like. But make sure you write valid points so that you get enough marks. And in the first video itself, I told you we will cover the syllabus in a different order. We will complete mean, median, mode and all those statistical things plus correlation and regression. That means 24 marks will be completed. In the second video, I taught you how to use the calculator, and I think now you are kind of like okay with the calculator. Now let me tell you a few things and we can start. In the last video, we talked about population and sample. If you did not watch the last video, pause the video right now and watch population and sample, because these are two important words. Whenever they talk about population, you have to use the proper symbols like mu, sigma, capital N, P, etc., etc. And whenever they talk about sample, we have to use X bar, S, small n, P cap, etc. for the proportion. The last one is proportion. Anyway, they will ask you to calculate and also the interpretation. Because for an engineering student, statistics is a tool and you should learn how to interpret each one of these measurements. So when you get X bar or the sample mean, or leave it, let it be the population mean, you are able to get a rough idea about the data. And when you know the standard deviation, you will be able to understand how much the data deviates from the center. And the measures of central tendency are mean, median, mode, and there are many other. But normally we put our focus on mean, median, mode. And measures of dispersion or deviation are standard deviation, mean deviation, range, etc., etc. There are so many other things, but the maximum focus will come for standard deviation because it is kind of like a very trusted deviation. Anyway, this is from one of your past papers. I saw that they were asking this question for 8 marks. So look at this. The data given below is about 45 patients and they were given a certain medicine, some anesthesia, and anesthesia puts the patients into sleep. And when they applied it on one patient, he or she slept for 7 hours. And another patient has slept for 10 hours. Another one for 12 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, etc., etc. So this is exactly the given information. And they are asking, find the sample mean, the sample variance, the sample standard deviation. Can you see how clearly they have mentioned in the question the given data is a sample? So now don't wait, take your calculator. If you don't know how to use the calculator, use the last video. I have kept the video as 2 brackets A, 2A. And if you look at that video, you'll be able to understand how to use your calculator. Anyway, I prefer FX991EX or FX991CW. Anyway, the method is very clear. Put it into stat mode and frequency on, because this is like raw data. Do you remember we talked about 3 different types of data in the last video? And this is type 1 raw data. So you turn on stat mode and turn off frequency, and I want you to input the data, and then you have that OPTN button, option button, and do the calculation. And similarly, if you are using FX991CW, first of all, turn on stat mode. It's in the, today I have this calculator. I found it. And you press on, and in the home button, you can turn on stat mode. And when you turn on stat mode, it will ask you 1 variable or 2 variable. You just press OK button. It will go to 1 variable. And from tools, if you press tools, you'll be able to turn off frequency. And once you turn off frequency, you can press the on button, and it will again show that 1 variable, and you'll be able to input data. And after you input data, you press OK, and you'll get the result. Okay, so this is what I did. And I found that X bar is 6.711. Anyway, in the question, it was told that the number of hours the patient slept. So I found that the arithmetic mean is 6.71 hours. That means now I get a clear idea. If I give that anesthesia to some patient, he or she is supposed to sleep for 6.71 hours, approximately, somewhere around. Now, if you want to know the around value, you press the down button, because here you can see up to Sx square. Now, if you press the down button, you'll be able to see the standard deviation. And you have to write sample standard deviation Sx. If you want population standard deviation, it is another one. This is the population standard deviation. Anyway, in the question it is clearly given, it's a sample. And I found the value 4 hours. Oh no. Look at this. In an average, the patient sleeps for 6.71 hours. But now this data measurement is showing something very critical. Think about it. The doctor tries to make the patient sleep with this particular anesthesia. And the doctor has an average idea, that is, this patient will sleep around 6.7 hours. And he starts the surgery. By looking at the standard deviation, I'm really worried. This means the patient might wake up very early than the doctor expects. Or maybe the patient will wake up in the middle of the surgery. It might sound funny in a movie, but it will not be funny in the real situation. Now, how did I understand this particular anesthesia is not good? Because I started comparing the deviation with respect to the average. And there is a measurement called coefficient of variation. Normally we call it CV, the coefficient of variation. And it is given by the formula standard deviation by mean multiplied by 100 if you want the answer in percentage. And if you do that, you'll see that the value turns out to be 59.99. That means 60%. Now look at this. This measurement is called coefficient of variation. It tells you how much the data is fluctuating. And it actually means The medicine is not working uniformly in all the patients. Some patients are sleeping for a long time and some patients wake up suddenly. So basically, if I am the person who has the power to stop the medicine, I will definitely suggest don't use this anesthesia. Why? Because the consistency is very low. Remember, whenever in your examination they ask you question about uniformity, variability, homogeneity, just find CV. If CV is very small, we call it consistent data, uniform data. Think about it. I'm sure in your class, some students come, like what you call, let's say in your college, the class starts at 10 o'clock. One particular class, the probability class starts at 10 o'clock. You might see some students will come sharp at 10. Not only in the first class, not only for the second class, not only for the third class, they will keep on coming like 10, 10 1, 9:59, 10 2, 10 1, 10 2, 10 o'clock, 9:58. So that data is consistent. And if you find the CV, it will be very less. And the another word used for uniformity is homogeneity. Now think about another student. The class is at 10 o'clock. One day that student came at 11 o'clock. In another class he came at 9:45. In another class he came at 12 o'clock. So is that data consistent? And if you measure the CV, it will be very high. Okay, now let's go for the next question. Something very similar. I'm giving this question so that you can practice. So I'm going to read the question. It is clearly mentioned 50 sample, and it is clearly given the speed of some vehicles traveling in an intersection of a busy road. Like what you call, they have measured the speed. Now we see at many places they have put the radar, etc., etc. So this is something very easy to collect. 50 vehicles is nothing. Anyway, I want you to take the calculator. Is it type 1 or type 2 or type 3 data? If you don't know about type 1, type 2, type 3 data, please watch video number 2. It will be either in 2A or in 2B. We talked about 3 different types of data that comes for your exam. Anyway, this is raw data or discrete data, or in our class we will call it type 1 data. So come on, take your calculator, either this or the other one or the old one, any calculator will work. Input all the data. And since it is a sample, I want you to write the answer as sample mean. Anyway, I did my homework. I got some answers. Now, please comment your answers. What is the sample mean? And please do put comments. I don't see any comments. I don't see any responses. Then how will I know what exactly you want from the class? And here is the data. Anyway, like what you call, I have already done these questions in my workbook. And this is a workbook which I used to provide my students. And I got the answers. Okay, I got the mean to be 58.04. The unit is given kilometer per hour. Now, what do I interpret from this? I am able to understand at this particular road, at this particular intersection, most of the vehicles are traveling at a speed somewhere around 58 kilometer per hour. See, I have a rough idea, an estimate. Estimate means a rough idea. I calculated the standard deviation. Can you please comment below? What's the standard deviation? And I also calculated the CV. I'll tell you the CV, but you comment the sample standard deviation. Let me see how many of you are watching and actually working out with a calculator. Anyway, I got the CV to be 15.02 percentage. Maybe my answer will be wrong, so please comment below. Okay. Anyway, I'm able to understand one thing. Most of the vehicles are traveling somewhere around 58 kilometer per hour, and it is kind of like consistent data. No one is going too fast or no one is going too slow. Most of them are traveling somewhere around 58. And one more question. I guess I took it from your past paper. Yeah, I think so. So do it. And in the comment, please put the comment like question number 3, x bar is equal to. By the way, is it a sample or a population? Oh, wait. Sample. Is the unit given? Yes. The unit is given, megahertz. Anyway, you read the question, understand the scenario. Because in the first question, we were talking about a medicine. In the second question, we were talking about the speed of vehicles. And now we are talking about some semiconductor. And remember, if the unit is given, you're supposed to write your answer along with the unit. Anyway, I'll write only one thing. The sample standard deviation. I got something like 27.15 megahertz. So I want you to comment below. By the way, do you know the word variance? Variance means standard deviation squared. So once more, let me make the 4 things very clear. Arithmetic mean or central tendency, mainly mean, median, mode. They give us a number which is very near to the center of the data. For example, when you arrange the data, if the data is like this, it gives you the central value of the data. Not exactly the center, that is why it is called central tendency. Okay, and deviation or dispersion gives you how far the data is spread from the center. And by the way, I told one new word, variance. Variance magnifies the standard deviation by squaring it. And finally, the coefficient of variation, that talks about fluctuation, homogeneity, uniformity, etc. Now, something very important. When I checked the past paper question, I think 2 or 3 years before, I'm not able to tell exactly whether they asked in civil or in computer, but 2 years before, the person who asked the question wrote something in the question along with the question. He did not allow the direct use of calculator. So what he did was, in the question, he put the word using formula method. Now we are trapped. Now this calculator does not have much use as we did in question number 1, 2, 3. So we are in a trap. Because in that particular question, which they asked for 8 marks, by the way, normally like what you call the 8-mark question will be the last question. That will be question number 15. Normally 8-mark question will be the last question, and in your syllabus it is clearly written question number 15 is related to computer application of or calculator application, let's say, because in your exam they don't allow a computer, so you're carrying the calculator. So when you do question number 15, you must use technology. And to be honest, your syllabus wants you to be very good with softwares like SPSS, Excel, etc. Okay, anyway, suppose they ask you to use the formula method. then I want you to note all these formulae. So look at this. If they ask population mean, use the notation and this formula. Anyway, the sample mean is also same thing. Now I'm going to give you one warning. Whenever they ask sample standard deviation, this is the formula. Please be aware. The please be aware the formula for sample standard deviation and population standard deviation are different. The formula for sample standard deviation and population standard deviation are different. Note it down right now. This is for population, this is for sample. I'll repeat, note it down. Because once they clearly mention in the question, using formula method, find the sample standard deviation. And those who learned only the calculator method got trapped. So I want you to be good with the calculators as well as the formula method. Anyway, in your calculator, so if they ask the formula method, all you have to do is you have to write the formula. Okay, I'll put it like this. I'll erase this because they ask sample mean and sample standard deviation. So what did I do? The first thing I did is I wrote the formula. Now, if I want to use the formula, I need sigma x and sigma x squared. And do you remember in the last video, I told you, you can find sigma x and sigma x squared directly from the calculator. So again, this calculator is a little bit more useful. So we can find sigma x and sigma x square, plug in all the values, substitute, show some drama, and again use your calculator and calculate it. I hope the point is clear. Anyway, we cannot waste more time on this. Now I want you to teach something called percentile. Okay, now look at this. We can cover a lot of stuff by learning this percentile. First of all, let me tell you, whenever we calculate the median or the quartiles or the decile or the percentile. Now look at this. I'm going to cover 4 topics within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Median, quartile, decile and percentile. But I'm going to teach you only percentile. Median means dividing the arranged data into 2 parts. By the way, remember, whenever you want median, quartile, decile, percentile, the first thing to do is arrange the data in ascending order. In this calculator, the latest one, FX991CW, there is a way to sort. There is a button called sort. If you enter the data and press tool, you will be able to sort it in ascending order or descending order as you wish. Anyway, when you find the median, quartile, decile and percentile, arrange the data. And by the way, once more let me make it very clear. Right now I am teaching you type 1 data. In the next video we will talk about type 2 and type 3. Anyway, in today's video we are talking only about type 1 data. Now, median means you are going to divide the data into 2 equal parts after you arrange it in ascending order. Basically, the median represents a number, or the median is a number in such a way that 50% data will be below that number or 50% will be above. Now, do you know the word quarter? There are 4 quarters in an year: January, February, March, and then April, May, June. Okay, quarter means you are dividing the whole data into four equal parts. How many equal parts? One, two, three. Where is the four? Yeah, okay. One, two, three, four. So quartile 1 means a number or a data value, maybe a data value or outside the data value, or a number in such a way that there will be 25% data below that. And quartile 2 means 50%. Wait. So quartile 2 is my median. Same thing. Quartile 2 is median. And quartile 3 means 75% data will be below that number. What is quartile 3? 75% will be below that number. Anyway, if they ask quartile deviation, it will be Q3 minus Q1, by the way, because they may ask a small question, like one more question for that. Okay, now let me tell you one more thing. There is a concept called 5-number summary. There is a concept called 5-number summary. We'll talk more about it in the next video. Whenever you want to calculate the 5-number summary, you will calculate the minimum value, the maximum value, and quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3. This is called the 5-number summary. And with the help of 5-number summary, we can make something called the box plot. And the actual name is called box and whiskers. Have you seen the whiskers of a cat? Like the mustache of a cat? So this diagram is called the box plot or the box and whisker diagram. If you want the box plot, you need the 5-number summary. Minimum value, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the maximum value. Now let's come to the third concept, that is called decile, the decimal system or decile. So here it is obvious. I'm sure you might have heard about these words like what you call pentagon, what you call, you might have come across these things. Decile means you are dividing the data into 10 equal parts. How many equal parts? So decile 1 means 10% of data will be below. Decile 2 means 20% will be below. Decile 3. Oh, so what is decile 5? Of course, our median. Because decile 5 means 50% data will be below that. That is our median. And median means quartile 2. Okay, I think you're able to connect it. Now the last one, that is the main person, the hero of the story, percentile. By the way, the word cent means 100, out of 100. That's why the word percent, out of 100. So in percentile, what we do is we divide the data into 100 equal parts. How much? 100 equal parts. By the way, one small favor. If you are watching the video, please do support us. Please like, please comment. You can support us by like what you call telling your friends, etc. etc. Anyway, let's go back to our topic. So now comes percentile. Percentile means we divide the data into 100 equal parts. So can any one of you tell me what is quartile 1? When I told you quartile 1, I told you 25% of the data will be below that. So that is actually percentile 25. So quartile 1 means percentile 25. Anyway, I'm going to wind up this video here because in the next day we will learn percentile, we will learn box plot, and also we will learn type 2 and type 3 data. It will be a little bit long video, but we will try to complete that statistics parts, what do you call, let's say 90% of the statistics part with that video. And in the next video, we'll be working out some miscellaneous problem and then directly to correlation and regression. Okay, so one last time, use your calculator to find x bar, standard deviation, variance, and coefficient of variation. And I want it to be really good with the words median, quartile, decile, and percentile. And it will be very nice if you just go through this formula before the next class. Okay, so we will meet on Thursday. So till then, my friends, bye.